What is up, my beautiful model 101s? My name is Robinator, and today I'm doing something a little different. If you want to why the screen is black, that's because I'm doing a theory video, and I may or may not edit stuff in later on. Either way, I'm going to take my headphones off because you're annoying me. Anyway, so, a few things. This is going to be a Markiplier theory, specifically all the different personalities of the Markiplier, such as Googleplier, Wolf-Wood-Warstash, Dr.Iplier, etc., etc., etc. And I'm sure you've heard many of these theories, including the Dr.Iplier theory, which I will talk about too. But the main thing I'm talking about is all of them, which I believe there's about a dozen of them. Anyway, let's begin. So the main source of my information is actually going to be good old Who Killed Markiplier, which is what a lot of people are using. Either way. So yeah, let me just wrap it up really quick. So you're invited to a party with Markiplier, of course, the Colonel, who later we'll discuss, who later becomes Wolf-Wood-Warstash, Damien, who becomes half of Dr.Iplier. Hang on 1 second, I need to get all the names. It's been a while since I've watched it, so Who Killed Markiplier characters? Here we go. 1 second. Okay. The Colonel, Damien the Mayor, Markiplier, Celine, who's later revealed in like the third thing, the Detective, Benjamin the Butler, the Chef. Okay, that's weird. George the Groundskeeper, and the Jim Twins? I don't recognize that. Okay, well, that's all done. So basically, you are the district attorney, a right-hand assistant to the mayor, if you will. That's why you're invited. So basically, you're there, and you're all partying after a long night of partying until 1:30 a.m. Drunk as frickin' hay. You get in bed, eyes open, for some reason, at 1:30 a.m. You wake up the next morning where the butler greets you with cocaine drinks. Yeah, I didn't get that either. Either way. And after a long little chat with everyone, you find out that Markiplier is dead. The detective immediately makes you his new partner, and then you start your investigation after talking a bit. After talking, you learn some history about the other people, which I'll discuss later. You discuss stuff for the next few episodes, and then Celine comes. Celine is, we'll talk about that, who she is later, but she seems to have a relationship with everybody. So you go, and after Celine gets here, she says, let's go into the other dimension where people die in order to talk to Markiplier. So you go, you do that, and and then you go into the future and see George, the groundskeeper, who's not that big of a character. And after doing a little bit, you find George, thanks to the help of the chef, the detective, and the butler. And while you are there, sorry. And while you are there, George says he will never go back into the house until one thing happens, and then that incident happens. When you go back to the house, you see that Celine is being possessed by some kind because there is a glowing light behind her, and she has a weird, evil smirk. You quickly shut the door, and about an hour later, you go back into the house. The Colonel's like, where the heck is everyone? Where are my best friends? Where's Celine? Everyone else besides you, the detective, and Colonel leave, or take their leave. And then yeah, the Colonel, and then you hear a voice, and it seems that Celine is trying to talk to you from the other world and guide you toward the detective who has been doing his investigation. The Colonel comes in, says, oh my god, the detective is behind this, because he sees what's going on and makes assumptions, and quickly goes to find the detective. The detective and him have a short argument involving guns, and then the Colonel shoots him. When you try to take the gun away, he shoots you. Then you're taken to the other world, where Damien and Celine are there with a dead Mark, basically saying that we can bring you back. So they bring you back using the help of Damien and Celine's spirits, but after then you see a insane going Colonel, and he basically is going insane, and is basically saying that this was all a joke and is going off to find everyone. Then you grab Damien's walking cane and look in the mirror as it is revealed that you are Dr.Iplier. And then that's when it ends. But afterward, you hear a thing from the detective basically saying, "Colonel, run." Okay, now let's start with the theory part. So people have been saying that Dr.Iplier is actually the spirits of both Damien and what's her face, Selena, because of the red and blue imagery from both. Go see what I'm talking about. It should be showing up on the screen. Either way. Now, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So, but also people are saying the Colonel is William Warfstache only because he's a similar mustache and he's wearing similar clothes by the end of it, and he seems to have that William Warfstache attitude. But we'll talk about that more in a minute. The detective and the butler. Well, the butler and the chef don't seem to have too much involved with this. The groundskeeper has basically nothing, and I don't know who the Jim twins are, so I'm not going to question that. So people have been saying Markiplier killed himself in a way, but he actually had. But what I'm saying is that the detective, the butler, and the chef are actually the ones that killed him, per Mark's orders. So technically, he did kill himself, but he ordered people to do it. It's like that. It's like case files. It's like. He's the murderer, but you're the one that ordered him to. So you're the actual victim. So you're the actual criminal, and that's one of those big arguments. So, but basically, the detective says he was stabbed, shot, poisoned, drowned, etc. Now we just assume that's just a big lie, but maybe it is not. For example, the three of them could have killed him in every single one of those ways not to raise suspicion. The chef could have stabbed him. The detective could have shot him. Either the chef or the butler could have poisoned him via different methods. They can easily drown him using poison. They can just continuously poison him until he loses oxygen. And then strangled. That's easy. Anyone can strangle him. And I think that's all of it. And either way. So, and then we find out he's dead. But there's no blood on the floor. That means it wasn't recent. That means they must have killed him last night after all the shenanigans. I say shenanigans because I believe that Damien was the only one that saw you and picked you up. The Colonel must have been out of it. He probably went back to his room. So those are the only three that would still be awake. Okay, now let's talk about William. William, basically, let's talk about how he becomes Warfstache. If you look, I want you to look at some. Notice the different stages of Warfstache. If you, hang on. Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's go look up. I have like a bunch of browsers open to help me with this. William Warf. Dash. Notice how in his first few things he has dark hair with a pink mustache. Then notice on his more recent things he has purple hair, pink hair, and eventually dark purple hair with the occasional pink mustache. Now I believe this is because when Dr.Iplier went after the Colonel, William now, he actually hit him using sorcery, or evil magic, basically. I forgot the proper term. It hits him with him, and it actually doesn't kill him, but it mutates his pigmented skin. Now notice, over the course of now how we see him, in his first appearance, which was in a weird episode for Markiplier, I forgot which episode, he has black hair, pink mustache. And then the next time we see him, in his Syndigo thing, the Warfstache police thing, he has smaller pink mustache, black hair. Then in his interview of Phone Guy, We see he has black hair and a pink mustache. But when he interviews Markiplier, he has purple hair with a pink mustache. Why is that? Because his pigments are still changing over time. Does that make sense? It should. That is the last time we see him, I believe. Oh wait, no, it's during Markiplier TV. Check this out. Notice, he has black hair again. So that was before his hair turned purple. Does that make sense? It should. As I was saying. So, it could just be a coincidence, but it's a nice little touch to add. Who's next? Okay, now, this is a video covering all the Markipliers, but I want to discuss the main four I will be discussing most about. William, Damien the Mayor, Markiplier himself, and you. Am I missing anyone? No. Those are the four. They're the main gods. They're like the Hades, Zeus, and Neptune. Hades, Zeus, and Poseidon, sorry, of the Markiplier family. So basically, they're all related. Notice, all of them look practically the same. They're all brothers. Quadruplets, doubtly, probably brothers. With William being the eldest, obviously because he's the only one with a mustache. Damien probably being the second oldest. Markiplier rounding it up at third, and you as the youngest. So either way, these are the three main people. So as Markiplier dies, he goes to try and possess Damien's body, but that fails because Damien, who is now Dr.Iplier with Celine, tries to stop him and succeeds at destroying his own body. Markiplier has to find new bodies. Let's come back to that later. William becoming William Warfstache, because we never actually hear his real name. We only hear him as the Colonel until, well, at least in Who Killed Markiplier. Dr.Iplier's you and him, and Markiplier's dead. I think that's it. Okay, but if you notice, Markiplier is still hopping from body to body. You know what that causes? The Markiplier family. Think about it. Each Markiplier kind of represents a different part of him. For example, Googleplier represents his intelligence. Dr.Iplier represents his need to kill, I guess. His need to kill, his murderous side. His Jason side. Let's call him his Jason side. The superhero guy from Markiplier TV. Markiplier TV characters. Silver Shepherd, that's his heroic side. Bim Trimmer is his massive ego. If that's the case, Bim Trimmer should be fat, but who cares? Edgar is the stupid slash country-esque side of him from Cincinnati. Dr.Iplier is obvious, I've already discussed him. Wolf of Warstache, already discussed him. The host is his commentary side, his, King of the Squirrels is his animal instinct side, we already discussed Dr.Iplier, and Googleplier is his mental state. Septiplier, that's just a combination of Jacksepticeye and Markiplier. Don't have much to say about that. That is horrific, in my opinion. But yeah, you get the idea. So how are these all people? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The 7, 8, including Septiplier, of them, not including Wolf of Warstache and Dr.Iplier, are all different bodies that Markiplier has hosted. So after each body, he leaves a different part of him. And I actually have proof. Look at Googleplier's first appearance. Google IRL, both by Matthias and by Markiplier. Basically, in his first time appearance, he seems more human. He seems more, just like, I don't want to do this. I'm acting like a little kid. That's because that is the first time he's possessed a new body, and he's only possessed it as a virus. The body wasn't probably originally looked like a American Korean guy with a beard. No. It probably looked like something else, but after Markiplier corrupted it in a virus state, it changed it. Then, Then after Matthias shut IPLIER down, based on asking too many questions, Markiplier left that body, leaving IPLIER to reactivate and become more robotic, because next time we see him via the Bing versus Google thing, which Bing is basically the same thing. Bing is he basically seems more robotic. Like I say, we finish with the primary objective. Does that make sense? Should. That's because he's lost the more humanity, and now he's programmed because of the different because he has been corrupted. His only goal is to destroy humanity, because Markiplier left that little piece inside of him. We can't say the same for everything else, because I don't know much about any other people. The only time I know about Dr.Iplier is that Doctor of Bad News, that kind of stuff. That's the only time I've ever heard of him. So there's not much difference there. King of the Squirrels, that's just, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? Okay. Now let's go through this one last time. So Dr.Iplier is Celine and Damien and you. It's 3 souls. That's why he's always such an annoyance. Your body, your soul, Damien's soul, Celine's soul, all in there corrupting it, creating Dr.Iplier. That's why he is so ticked off all the time. Though Damien, I believe, is the one in control most of the time, Celine's fighting back. That's why. That's why when he says to Will, I've respected you, I've always have. That's Celine. Celine. And remember this. Celine was Celine was Markiplier. Who was it? Celine was Markiplier's, or Damien's, fiance/wife. Then Wilford, yeah, it's Mark's. Then Wilford stole her, fell in love with her, then kind of freaking stole Mark's money in order to have her little sex appeals with Celine. And so I can see why he would say that, because Celine always respected him. And that would also explain why Damien and Celine don't really talk pleasantly. If Damien is on Mark's side more than he is the Colonel, then like Celine may be probably ticked off at him. That makes sense. Think that's it. Who am I missing? I feel like I'm missing someone. Bing-iplier is just probably the same thing as Google-iplier, except Bing, not Google. Personally, I prefer Google. Screw you, Bing. Think that's it. The detective. How's he fit in all of this? I think I should probably explain that. The detective, the butler, and the chef all made a deal with the Markiplier, because a detective likes Markiplier. They're good friends. And honestly, I think the detective agrees that Wilford needs to be punished. So they secure this elaborate plan and agree. So after everything's happened, the detective is the only one left, just to make sure that everything happens with a nice little pink bow on top. What do you see when the final scene between the detective and William are? He's about to go into a closet, and what is in there? Probably Mark's body, Damien's body, and Celine's body. You wanna know why? Because the detective is the one who killed them both. Well, Celine at least. After Markiplier, in his soul form, took hold of both of them, he led them into that room. Good old good old detective probably stabbed him or shot him or something and put him in there. However, he left Markiplier, Damien in there so that Markiplier can possess him. And that's where Dr.Iplier leaves at this. After he deals with the Colonel, he goes deals with Damien's. Bing bong, bing and boom. Does that explain it all? Okay, so if you guys want to see more stuff like this, let me know in the comments down below. If you guys want to hear about the history of the Robinators, yes, you heard the history of the Robinators, let me know. I'm actually really curious to see if you guys want to. Anyway, hope you guys all enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next in 2020.